Hey guys, in this video we're going to be talking about Purple Luffy. I absolutely hate this format and it's very stale and boring. So I've just been playing Purple Luffy the whole time, and like it's a lot stronger than I thought it was when I started playing this deck. I thought it'd just be a fun deck because I like Luffy decks. I thought it'd be fun to play during this format that's actually like viable kind of. But I've learned it's a lot stronger than that. I think it's strong enough to be one of the top decks in this format. I've played like hundreds of games against Ace, and I win like 80% of the time. And Emu is just such a breeze with this deck. You absolutely destroy Emu. You beat Ace most of the time. The only problem would be Zoro. That's almost like an auto loss matchup. I beat it 2 times in all my Zoro games this format with this deck. So it is possible, but you have to get extremely lucky, and it's just really hard against Zoro. But Ace and Emu is pretty easy. I'm going to go over the deck list first, and then I'm going to talk about the matchups later. And for more of the beginner players that aren't familiar with this deck, I'm going to go over the routes you take, your early game to late game. So let's start off with the deck list. For the bosses, we run a lot of bosses. Naturally, it is Purple Luffy. You want to abuse your leader effect, ramp up really fast, and then play bosses. So we have 3 of these Rush Luffy. It's a 9/10, draws you a card and gains Rush. We have Rayleigh, which is what made this such a strong deck. OP-13 card. It gains an 8/9 with Rush. So with Perfect Curve, you're getting to 8 Dawn in 3 turns. On your 3rd turn, you'll be at 8 Dawn. So you'll be able to play down an 8 drop, which is going to be either Rayleigh or Katakuri. Rayleigh being the better option because you want to just swing face with this deck. You don't really want to contest board ever. You just want to go really fast at face. So your rush targets are your best targets. But Katakuri is such an overstated, broken card that it's just really good and really strong. You swing with it and then it can restand and block the next turn. You do want to play the Katakuris as well. Don't sleep on Katakuri. I'm just saying Rayleigh is better. And then I have, for our last bosses, we have 2 of these Jinbeis. Now, people at locals were laughing at me for this Jinbei, but it is real. It's a 7/9 vanilla. It's really for, so you run a lot of bricks in this deck, and this Jinbei helps out because it's a counter card and it's a boss. It's a pseudo boss because it's a really big stat at 9k. And against Zoro, whenever you don't want to take your life, because Zoro like hits you really hard and you have to take a bunch of life. So effectively against Zoro, you can save a life, and instead of going to 8 Dawn on your 3rd turn, you don't use leader effect and you just play Jinbei out. And this is a body that they can't swing into 2 times because they can swing at all your bosses 2 times if they wanted to. So they can't swing into this 2 times, and it's still a boss body. It just doesn't have rush. And this card's really good. If you don't have a boss, it's a really good target to play. And I like playing it over Luffy Taro sometimes, especially against like Zoro and Emu. In this format, Jinbei is just really strong because well, let's go into our mid game before I talk more about the Jinbei. For the mid game, we have 4 Sanjis. This card is so good. It does what Rayleigh does, a little bit cheaper and better, in my opinion. So this is like your game enders, is Rayleigh and Sanji, but Sanji's a little bit better because it's less Dawn and you can still swing 7 with leader, and it rests a 6k, so it can rest whenever you're going against Ace, it can rest Uta if they play Uta for 2. So that's really big. It's a really big game changer because they think they're safe from Rayleigh with the Uta, and then you just drop a Sanji. And Rush is just always going to be good in this deck, so you just always play your Rush targets. But you always want to prioritize playing a boss rather than the Sanji. It's kind of just like a secondary option. And then we do have it's kind of like a small Straw Hat package. We have 3 Luffy Taro. You just play this out to play out the Sangoro. So you have Luffy Taro and a Sangoro. But I don't like to do this in this format. It's really just like if you don't have a good hand, it's like a last resort type of play, because this Songro is never sticking. Like, it doesn't matter what the matchup is. It's Emu, Mars is gonna pop it. Against Ace, Jozu's just gonna bounce it. And then against Zoro, it's just gonna get rested and it costs counter. Like, you can't save this against Zoro if you don't have like a Katakuri on board. This is just dead. So that's why I like to play Jinbei on 7 Dawn over Luffy Taro. It's because the Songro is never gonna stick, and then you just have a 7-8 vanilla. So you might as well just keep the cards in hand and then play the Jinbei. That's why Jinbei's broken. Okay, next we are on to our 2Ks. We do run a lot of 2Ks because we run a lot of bricks. So let's start off with the Straw Hat 2K. Sorry, taking forever. So we have 2 for Nosuke, 4 Usohachis, and 4 Sanjis. This is our Straw Hat 2K package. We don't run any 1-drop searchers. We don't run the Law. We don't run the 2-drop Nami. But so we don't have any like normal searchers, but we do have Zoro Juro as like if we have a bad hand and no bosses, or if we need a Gum Gum Giant, we play Zoro Juro and try to find a Gum Gum, or we try to find counter if your hand's bricked up. So it's like it's the last resort cards that can stabilize you and help you win games whenever you're not gonna win the game. That's why we're still on this kind of like half Straw Hat package, because it's still good. It's just not as good as playing your bosses down. And then we have one more 2K. It is Miss Double Finger. This is our emergency ramp target. If we don't find Bon Clay, this is your second option, because you always want to ramp when you're at 4 Dawn. If you don't, you're just a lot slower. So if you don't find the Bon Clay, you always want to have the Miss Double Finger. I always mulligan for Bon Clay. If you have Bon Clay in your hand, you keep it. If you don't, you mulligan. That's what I do every single time, and it always works. Although if I do have Miss Double Finger in my hand, and it's like a good hand, like if it's like double 2K, Miss Double Finger, a boss, and whatever, then I will probably keep it, because I have the ramp and I have like counter, because you can brick up sometimes, but in a hand like that, you do want to keep it just because you have the ramp already, so it's fine. But Bon Clay is just so good. And into Ace, it's just, this is your game winner into Ace. This stops them from doing anything. Yes, they have Jozu and like Atmos, but if you have a Bon Clay on board and they're going to 8 Dawn, then they are not going to play a 10-drop or you just win the game. And then if you have like, and if they bounce it with Jozu on their 8 Dawn turn instead of playing a 10-drop, you can just play double Bon Clay the next turn. Like, I've won a couple games doing that, where I just play a bunch of Bon Clays down and they can't do anything about it. And so I just won. And then next we have Zoro Juro. This is our emergency search if we need it. You know, another target off of Luffy Taro, and it's another 4 Dawn turn if it gets like really desperate, but that's just a really bad game if you're playing Zoro on 4. These two are always going to be better to play. And then obviously 4 Gum Gum, because, you know, best Straw Hat event card in the game. And then 1 zero cost event to get rid of some of these bricks if you're bricked up. But yeah, I think this list is like near perfect for this format. Let's talk about Magellan for a second. I don't have it on me. It is in my binder, which I should have grabbed before recording this, but let's talk about Magellan. I do not think Magellan is good enough to be in this deck. I think it's very strong, especially against Emu. I don't think it's as valuable in Ace. You can slow them down 1 turn, but it's not necessary. If you have Bon Clay anyway, that slows them down, and you're just so fast that you can outpace Ace. So most of the time you're beating Ace without Magellan anyways. And for Emu, you kill them before they get to 10 Dawn. So playing Magellan slows you down rather than slows them down. So I don't like playing Magellan, because especially against Ace, because they could just Jozu it and you don't get the pop effect. They can't pop it with Mars, or they'll Dawn -2 against Emu, so that's one like good thing. But it's just really bad ramping up to 5 Dawn and then playing Magellan, because then you have to Dawn minus. when playing one of these big bodies would be so much better than dropping Magellan. That's why we cut the Magellans. We added 2Ks and we just added more bosses, because playing a boss is so much more value than playing Magellan. So I would not play Magellan in this list. I have a friend, I coached him into this list because he started on Ace and then he moved to Emu, and then I kept winning locals with this. So he was like, I want to play this. And so I told him my deck list and everything, but he runs the same thing, except he runs 4 Magellan. And I keep telling him to get off Magellan, but he just loves the cards, so he just won't. But yeah, that's basically how the list is. You always want to go first with this deck. I haven't talked about going first or second, but you always want to go first with this deck. Purple Luffy shines at going first. If you go second, it's still really strong and really fast, but going first is just a lot better, a lot more momentum for you. So always choose to go first. And yeah, so now we are going to talk about like what you want to do in the beginning game to late game. So I'll see you there. Okay guys, so I got the setup here. So let's first talk about the most optimal hand. It's going to be always Bon Clay, a lot of counter, and then an 8-drop. That's going to be like the best hand possible. You do want to have a lot of counter in your hand because you have to counter out of every early game swing no matter what it is. So if you're obviously going to be going first, and you never have a turn 1 play, so you always pass your first turn. And if they go to, so if they're going second, they go 2-4. If they have no 4-Don play and they just swing 9, it's going to hurt to counter out of that, but most of the time you do want to counter out of that, or you go down to 2 life because of your leader effect. So let's just go over what I would do. So you pass your first turn, and then they do whatever they search, and then you draw for turn, get your 2 Dawn, and then you would activate your leader ability, take a life, ramp an active Dawn, you play Bon Clay to rest 4, and then you gain an active, you swing 6 and pass your turn. And then they do whatever, you know, if it's ace, they can Atmos, bounce Bon Clay, that's like the most optimal play, or they could play Marco, swing 6, you 2K out, you always want to counter. If they swing 9, you want to counter out. What else? If it's Zoro, you definitely want to counter out early. If they have like Kawina or something, you just let the Bon Clay go, obviously, and then counter out a life. And then your next turn would be draw for turn, 2 Dawn. And then you're already at 7 Dawn. So you would just activate your leader ability to take a life, go down to 3 life. And then you can swing 5. You play your Rayleigh. And then you swing 9. And you always go face. Never, there's like some instances where you want to like take out 1 body from board when you're going against like ace, for instance. But like 100, not 100% of the time, obviously, but like 90% of the time, you always want to swing face with Purple Luffy. You just want to kill them really fast before they can kill you. And so you just have so much counter, holy shit. Okay, but yeah, then you're going to 10 Dawn next turn. You drop another Rayleigh. Let's see, top decker. Oh my god, top decker Rayleigh. I swear I didn't set that up. You just play down another Rayleigh. You swing out face. And then you always want to keep a Dawn up too for Gum Gum Giant. Even if you don't have it, keep this 1 Dawn up because, like, you know, you're a Purple Luffy leader, so they're always going to think you have Gum Gum Giant. So always keep the Dawn up for Gum Gum Giant, and they'll be scared of it. So, yeah, that's basically how it goes. And you just spam bosses and kill them really fast. What else is there? So you do always want to go first. And let's talk about the ace matchup a little bit. Because against ace, when you get to 8 Dawn, if you have double Magellan in your hand, I'm like not even joking. if you have double Magellan, or sorry, not Magellan, Bonclay, if you have double Bonclay in your hand against Ace, on your 8 Dawn turn, you just play both of them out. Like, you don't need to I mean, Rayleigh's also really good, but if they have especially if they have a slow start and they don't find, like, Marco or something, playing these Bonclays would just, like, solidify the game for you, and then next turn you can go into Rayleigh. Because if they play a 10 drop after you have 2 Bonclays, you just win the game. And another thing about these Bonclays, so you don't swing with them against Ace until they play a 10 drop. You just always keep them here because they're scary, you know. You having this on board basically says, hey, if you play a 10 drop, then I'm going to have a really big swing next turn. So you never want to, like, take the Jozu swings with this and swing 7. You just keep it standing until they play the 10 drop. Against Zoro and Emu, though, you just swing whenever you get the chance because Emu will pop it and Zoro will rest it and kill it. So yeah, that's basically what you do. It's really simple. I don't think there's much more to it. You just ramp really fast and then swing it face. It's a really strong deck. It beats Emu. I'm going to go over the matchups one more time. It beats Emu 90% of the time. It beats Ace, I'd say, like 80% of the time. And then Zoro is really hard to win. It's like a 10% win rate or something like that. So yeah. There was this one locals where I went Ace, 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 Roger. And I won that locals. And I was actually scared of Ace at that time. And then I was like, wait, why am I scared of Ace? I literally just kill Ace. But let me talk about Roger since I brought it up. Roger can be hard because both the decks do the same thing. You ramp consistently more than Roger, so you're better at ramping, but their bosses are, like, better because they have 10-drop Shanks. And they have, like, a Newgate to buff their leader, obviously. But it's the same thing against Roger. You always want to take first. That's the thing. If Roger takes first, then it's really hard to win. But if you take first, then it's really hard for Roger to come back fast enough without dying. There's not a lot of Rogers at my locals, I'll be honest, but I've gone against, like, maybe 4, and I've won them all because I always win the dice roll and go first. So yeah, as long as you go first and you ramp, play your big body, and swing face, you'll kill the Roger before they can really get dangerous. And that's basically it, guys. So if you have interest in the deck list, I do recommend playing it. I don't recommend buying the Alt-Art leader, though. It is, like, dummy expensive right now. But yeah, thanks for watching. Comment down below what you think. If you think Magellan has a spot, or if you think it's underrated in this format. So yeah, see ya.